You guys are back. It's the Studio City Aftershow here on JLJ Media. I'm so excited. You know, occasionally, well, I do, of course, I go and do each episode and talk about them and break them down. But I get to talk to some people behind the scenes. And this person is very important, folks. VIP in the Studio City universe. Without him, a lot of this stuff wouldn't have happened. So I'm so glad to have him on the show. The Emmy-nominated director for Studio City, Timothy Woodward Jr. Hi, Timothy.
Hey, James, thanks for having me. I appreciate that intro. It was pretty epic. If we had a little bit of Hans Zimmer music playing behind it, I would be just over the moon. So,
I do music.
Thank you so much.
Don't get me started. I do music. Don't get me started. I could have got you some intro music. Don't get me started.
Yeah, we should have maybe talked a little bit beforehand. We could have queued it up. It would have been perfect, But no, I certainly appreciate being able to speak to you. And I've seen, pictures of the studio you're normally in and interviews and stuff. It's epic. I wish I would have had the opportunity to do that. But look, I've got my background here. You've got yours. And we're here to chat. So that's the most important thing. And I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. I know. Yeah, I know. Right now, COVID, it's all, nobody's in studios at the moment. We're not doing it.
Yeah. So, we make the best of what we've got, but that's kind of, look, that's the indie film world, right? You make the best of what you've got and you kind of figure out here's how we still try to make content that people enjoy. We put our hearts and soul into it and we do the best we can with what we've got. So here we are having a conversation and, I'm excited to be here.
So I'm going to ask you first, because I ask this for every single person. I'm James Lott Jr. You're Timothy Woodward Jr. What does Junior mean to you?
To me, it's a tough story. I don't come from the best childhood home, and my father and I don't have the best relationship. So for me, a lot of my drive was to make sure that when people heard the name Timothy Woodward, they remembered me, not him. However, as I've gotten older, I'm realizing that same drive that does that, also has to allow you to have forgiveness and other things. So, I'm not as quite on that level anymore, and I hope to mend that relationship at some point. But, that was a driving factor for me in middle school, high school, and kind of, where I said, look, I've got to make this happen no matter what. It was definitely one of the things that was on my list. Now, what about you? What does Junior mean to you?
I was going to say, literally ditto. I mean, when you said that, I was like, because I asked all these juniors, and so like, my father's great, and I just love the name. I'm like, same thing. They come with the best background. My father and I don't talk at the moment. I have forgiven him for a lot of stuff, but my drive, same thing, was like, I think I said to him actually when I was like 18, 19, everything's dramatic when you're 18, 19 years old. I'm going to make the James Lott name mean something. I mean, I really did that whole dramatic, like soap opera, thing. And,
when you have that kind of emotion towards someone, and you have that kind of, because a lot of frustration, I don't want to use the word hate, but a lot of anger towards them comes because you love them. You're seeking for their approval, or you want them to say, hey, I'm proud. You want them to not be doing whatever they're doing that's wrong. And so that's where that kind of, hate, or not hate, but that anger and frustration, and that just comes from. But there's some people who wallow in it the wrong way, and there's other people who turn it positive and say, look, you know what, you've done this. I'm going to make this. I'm going to be successful in spite of you. I'm going to be successful because of you, but not because you supported me or not because you did right by me, but I'm going to be successful because I just have to now. And, it's a driving factor. And again, as you get older, it's a little bit where you kind of go, okay, at some point I want to mend that fence, or I want to try to make something better. I don't want to be as angry, because you have to kind of let go of that just to be a healthy person. And it's something that, I have personally struggled with for a long time, because it is still is, it's a driving factor for me, just to be honest. And somebody asked me, would I ever drop the name if something happened to my father, Junior? And I said, no, I'm going to always be Timothy Woodward Jr. I'll never turn into Timothy Woodward. It will always be Timothy Woodward Jr.
James Lott Jr. always. And I'm not changing that. But I'm a little older than you are. I became a father, so I was the father I didn't have.
Oh, yeah, nice, good.
That did help.
That's like an ultimate, that's ultimately an amazing thing and a good thing that comes out of something like that, because you can take your experiences and pull from it and go, you know what, I'm not going to be like that, or I'm going to be better than that. And I also think that, like, even if a father is great, if I have a son and I'm a great dad, I still would want my son to be an even better dad than me, no matter what,
I agree.
because at the end of the day, we all want to give something away and then let people learn from it and hopefully become, obviously we're all human and we're all flawed. We're going to go through things, but we want people to be better, you want people to succeed and stuff like that. So it's awesome that you were able to turn it around and use it to your advantage, and then also become a dad and kind of take some of the lessons that you learned, and whether it was what to do or what not to do, but to use that, right?
Yeah, it was cool. You said it correctly. What to do or what not to do, and
Yeah.
I chose to break the cycle.
Yeah.
That's what you talked about a second ago. Some folks don't break the cycle; they just repeat it, or are stuck in it. So they can't break it. So they can't break it. So the same thing happens again, and it happens again, and it happens again.
Yeah.
But I like you. I didn't want to live in it. I didn't want to live in that. But I said I'll fuel it for stuff for me, and it's informed my work. It's informed everything that I do in some form. That kind of broken relationship. It's actually I mean, it's been good in my writing. I write songs. It fits my songs sometimes. Listen,
it sometimes hurt and stuff like that. It really does fuel creativity. Honestly, it's like where people, there's so many things in my films that are pulled from little places, and it may be small, subtle things, but it's pulled from there. And people who know me are kind of like, well, that came from here or there, something else. But it's it fuels creativity, and life experience also can really help in any form of storytelling, whether it's film, TV, music. I mean, music is storytelling, really and truly. Unless you're just taking a drum and just saying whatever, you're still telling a story of something, right? You're still either trying to inspire people in a party song to get up and move, or you're telling in some of the more intimate songs, a story of love, a story of hope, a story of whatever. But it's all storytelling at the end of the day. And so I think our experiences help us with that.
I'm gonna do a quick left turn just because I'm looking at that poster next to you. I'm a huge Trace Atkins fan. What was it like working with him? I would love. One of my things, I'd love to meet him one day. I said, that's one of my things. I just admire him, his voice. I love his voice, everything.
Oh,
I thought I had a voice. He has a voice. So I'm like, Tell me about it.
So first thing you have to know is Trace comes in and he's hey, way down here. He's quite low.
I picture that. I totally picture it.
So he talks low enough, though. Funny, we were in a hotel on the first film I did with him, and Trace's room was next to my room, and my little brother was in town from South Carolina at the time working on the movie, and I'm like going, calling, is Trace arrived yet? And everybody's like, no. And my brother's like, I think he arrived. We could hear the wall shake. Like, honestly, you could hear his voice through the wall. But I've worked with Trace on 3 films now, so we've done 3 together, and he's great to work with. The guy is a professional. He is super, like, he really likes doing movies. Like, honestly, he really likes it, and does especially Westerns. And he had looked up to Chris Christopherson a lot, who I worked with twice. And
I guess
the first time, the first movie we did together, Trace joined the movie because of Chris. And it was just a big thing, and I ended up having to get Trace hung in that movie. And a funny story is that Trace was up there, and the guys didn't tell me we were doing. So I went to go talk. I think it was Chris or it was Michael Pere or someone. I went to go to the trailer and have a conversation about the next scene while they were rigging up the noose. But we were supposed to be practicing this first before anything would happen. Right. So in other words, the rope wouldn't be tied up. It would be loose completely. There would be nothing obstructing the rope, and it would just basically be a dummy while somebody's up higher. So it's just a straight drop down. So when I come up to the monitor, I'm ready to watch what I think is the practice. So the chair or the stool that Trace is standing on snaps, boom, like this, and it really broke. Trace goes down and is kicking like this. And I am not kidding you. I literally jump up off the chair. I run in there fast as I can. And I'm like, cut. And Trace just pops his head up. They had put the harness on him.
Oh,
He was
okay.
already ready to go because he wanted to feel it out like during his rehearsal.
Oh,
But he
okay.
had done such a good job of it. I thought
For real. Oh,
Yeah, because he was kicking his feet like, I mean, he was literally twitching like a fish, like.
oh my goodness.
And I'm like, dude, we just killed Trace Atkins, and
I
he's
know,
got a
I know,
concert tomorrow night.
oh my.
Yeah. So, but no, he's like I said, in everything I've worked with him on, he's been very professional, and he's very talented. A lot of people don't understand. Like, he has a lot of talent as an actor, and as that Western presence, man. He's just, he's tall. He's got the gruff. He comes in and he looks like he's a cowboy, man. I mean, as you can see from the poster
I
behind,
know.
he's
I'm talking
like,
about, yes.
yeah, he looks like a cowboy. And that one's from one that's on that. I have two on Netflix with Trace now. This one and then Hickok with Luke Hemsworth. But did another one that's on Amazon called Traded with them as well. But yeah, he's great, man. He's amazing to work with.
Did you ever think, from where you come from, that it was possible to do movies with like movies like Trace Atkins or Chris Christopherson or Sean Kane? I mean, like, did you ever think, was it a possible? I come from LA, so of course you always think it could happen here. But like for you, was it any possibility?
Look, so I think at the end of the day, I'm a believer now that anything's possible with hard work now. But back then, growing up, no. What I knew was when I got to go to the movie theater, we had like a cheaper dollar theater down the road from my house and some other things. When the curtain got pulled, I'd get butterflies in my stomach. Like, honest to God, I'd get so excited. Like, I felt like I was going to have a panic attack during the previews and stuff.
I love it.
Just really stoked, And what happened with me is later in life, that didn't stop. It started at like 11 and at 17, it was the same. And everybody's like, you're going to grow up. And I just used to get so excited watching movies and wanted to be in that movie and be a part of that movie. And so that's why I started kind of wanting to act first and doing that sort of thing. But then I realized that, like, I didn't just want to do that or like that. I like every asset of being on a set, to walking up and, there's crafty going, people are setting lights, and just the actual magic behind making a story happen. So that joy is like what kind of drove me into wanting to direct and getting more behind the camera and doing other things and just trying it out. And, here I am. And I think I got to LA in 2012. And since I've been here, I've done 15 movies. TV, Studio City was my first show here. But, I've been very fortunate. I've worked with Mickey Rourke, Danny Glover, Chris Christopherson, Trace, Jason Patrick, Luke Hemsworth, a lot of people. And and I worked with Sean actually on Gangsterland with Jason Patrick and Peter Facinelli and Jamie Lynn Sigler, a lot of people. And we had a blast. And Sean came in and was so pumped up to be there. And I remember him coming up, and he was like a fireball, man. He's like 1,000 miles an hour. He's like, hey, Tim, nice to meet you. Just ready to go. And a funny story behind it too is that with everyone I've worked with, I sent my mom a picture of me and Jason Patrick and a couple people, and I sent her one of me and Sean. And my mom literally is like, is that Deacon Sharp? And I'm not kidding you, because my mom, and I told Sean this, and I said, Sean, my mom is going to be like, she's a huge fan. Like, because when I got suspended for getting into a fight in high school, like, I think it was in ninth grade or something. Yeah. And I was home for like a 10-day suspension. So I'm home for like, So I had to go to her house for like 2 weeks. And basically she watched The Young and the Restless and The Bold and Beautiful every day, 12:30 to 1:30, 1:30 to 2. And I got hooked on watching that stuff. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, let me watch, and I started liking it. I was like, okay, I know Victor Newman. I know the whole Newman family, the Forrester family, and just all of them. So that's where that kind of, and so my mom was so stoked about that. And then, Sean and I kind of kept up throughout and started talking, saying, hey, look, we need to find another project to work on together. And so when Beyond the Law, a movie I produced with Steven Seagal and DMX, I told James, I said, James, let's talk to Sean. Let's see what we can get Sean in on this. And so James called Sean, and Sean did a little part on it. And then we had a conversation, and that's how Studio City kind of came about.
Sean's that person. I've known Sean now, 5-6 years. He's that person, you meet him and you're just like, he's he's every man. He just gets it. He's just like, he has a great sense of humor. He's very professional. He's charming. He's all these different things that we become really good friends. I mean, we become really close friends. And, you know, and I love Michelle, everybody, but with him, he just kind of gathers you with him. It's like, you're like, you want to work with him. You want to do something with him. It's like, I always say he's so underrated. I think he's starting to finally get his props kind of when he won the ISA for Best Actor. Like, he's good. He's good at what he does. He knows how to act. He's really good. So you're very fortunate to have him in your orbit too. He's
absolutely.
He's a really great actor. And I know for you, because this is your first series, this is not just a movie you've done. Just overall, I'm gonna ask you some specific questions, but overall, what was it like doing a 6-part series?
Well, you know, I'd been a part of shows, but just on the front acting side. So directing, this was my first one. And what was different about it was, you know, when you're coming into film, you have a 3-act structure, which is, you know, the midpoint. So it's really kind of 4 parts to a film, and you've got a beginning. You always have to complete it. There's not really cliffhangers and other things like that. The thing that excited me about getting on board and doing this was when Sean came to me, it was originally in like a pilot form that was much more of a comedy. But he was very willing to kind of let me come in and work with him and work with our team on getting us these beats, these moments, and kind of really focusing more on, like the tagline says, which is life happens between the takes. So it's this idea of like, let's pay tribute to, you know, a soap, let's make it look really good, but then let's go behind and let's make it a little more grittier. And then let's actually talk about that, like, you know, dramatic moments happen in people's lives every day. Every day we're dealing with something dramatic that we can all relate to. Right now we're home with COVID, and while that may not seem like great storyline for television, if you do it in the right way, it is. You add some conflict to that. So that was the idea, is let's add conflict to an everyday situations. And then we had this, you know, Sean had in the original script where his daughter had said, "Hey, I'm your daughter." And so we wanted to stay true to that as well, but kind of also just mix in all these characters. And it became more of like what is, you know, about this just one guy and maybe some of his cast, to this guy, his family, you know, because that's where we get intimate, is not only our actor, but his family. And then we have our other actors too, who have their storylines that are put in. And so it allows us to really expand in the future and do other things. So it was exciting. And I think also not having the restrictions of time. Like a lot of, you know, just want to be clear, we could have made Studio City longer.
Yeah,
could have, for sure. But one of the beautiful things about doing a digital drama series, to me, one of the biggest things, because, you know, obviously, like I said, I do film, so I know how to make a feature-length film all day. But it was the idea that you don't have to do something that's exactly 22 minutes. You don't have to do it at 44 minutes. You can take the best, the meat, right, of the scene and of the story, and you can do it in these chapters. So they're chapters of a book.
Right.
And that's how we really looked at Studio City was, you know, let's do 6 chapters of a book. And if you really broke it down, and if I put like a little title at the beginning of the chapter with the name of the episode, it would make perfect sense. You know, because every episode is kind of based on one thing. And then the final chapter, which is episode 6, kind of connects all of those things back together. You know, so that's really what it is. You know, episode 1 would be the signing, you know, even though there's other things in the episode, it ultimately leads up to that. You know, episode 2 is I'm Not Your Dad, you know, and then it's just, there are plenty of like stories within themselves, you know, but also chapters of a book. And to me, that's what a lot of shows are kind of coming to, and a lot of things. And I think even when you look at the soaps, they are, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, even with the soaps, for example, a perfect example would be, you know, they're coming on every day. So they have a lot of characters to cover because they are coming on every day. You know, if those shows were weekly, for example, you may see more singular stories put together. And if you took those and you just edits this scene together, you'll see all those, they stitch together. They go perfectly. They're just kind of broken up in an edit where instead of, you know, sticking with this person's story, we jump over here and then we come back. So that's just an editing choice, but those are still chapters as well. So it's still the same kind of storytelling, just one's daily, one's weekly, etc.
So I had a couple of things I want to praise you for and ask you about. I love the direction of this thing. Okay, so there's the episode 3 where we have Scott Turner Schofield scene, the epic scene that he, deservedly got all the praise he got from it.
Yeah, I was bummed,
Yeah,
for sure.
What are you gonna say?
So I've worked with Lynn Shay a lot, and I love Miss Lynn. So if anybody was going to beat Scott,
Yeah,
I was hoping it was going to be Miss Lynn. However, I did, selfishly, because Scott was a part of this show and it was such an important storyline, I was really hoping he was going to, get that as well. So, it was kind of bittersweet for me because I was so happy for Miss Lynn, and she's so deserving for her entire career because she's one of the best actresses I've worked with, and one of the most sweetest, kindest, caring people I've ever met. And she is so talented. I hope she, she's just amazing. So I hope people continue to just realize how much talent she is. But with Scott, we worked on that, and I was hoping for that. But anyway, I'm sorry, continue.
No, I'm glad you said. I'm glad. I just want to hear from you. But I was going to say some of the choices you made in that scene were very cool. Like there was a scene where he's talking, and you come from behind. And it's like we're coming like weird because Sam is standing over to the side, right? We see him at some point. Like you only flashed him a couple of times. Like it's not about him. So it's about this group. It's about the character telling his story. And you come in from behind, and you come around. Like it's almost like we're kind of peeking in, and it felt very intrusive in a great way. And kind of flashing at the different trans people sitting there. Just tell me about that. Talk about that scene a little bit. I love that choice. I love that choice.
For sure. Thank you. So one of the things about that scene is it's always difficult to record something where there's not a lot of movement. You've got a scene where this is one person speaking. So there's no back and forth. There's no, hey, cutting someone off. There's no quick cutting. So one of the things about it is we want to make this scene as I was talking with Pablo Diaz, who is my DP and one of my really good friends, and we've worked together on, I think, 12 projects now. Wow. And we want to make this intimate was the idea. We want to make this cool. And so instead, when we came behind him, our idea was let's put the focus on the back of his head. So almost like you're in his head, and everyone around him is out of focus a little bit. And they're creating a perfect circle. And that circle is also kind of, a representative of here's the audience listening to him. So we're in his head, here's the audience, and now we're relating to what's going on. And then, we went to, in the edit, some of the scenes from the side where it was silhouette and it's dark here, because there were some really dark moments.
Yes.
And, it didn't feel right for him to be telling this story that was so dramatic and, where he's talking about actual facts of transgenders and things that they're going through right now and his own story. It didn't feel right to just stay, hey, we're going to stay on his face lit up. We wanted to, show it because it's a dark moment. So we kind of made sure that we were catching these angles that were dynamic cinematically, but they were also representative of the story. Because that's one of the things I always try to do is you're not going to have a happy moment from me where someone's walking into a dark light. You're not going to usually have that happen unless I'm trying to go for that contrast. But yeah, so it was good. And Scott did so good in that scene. I was so proud of him. Like I was just so proud of just time and time, because we did it 3 or 4 times, and just him being able to, just kind of let that go and just natural storyteller. I mean, he was still telling a story that was around a campfire. It was so personal, and it's just, not really a campfire, but metaphorically a campfire, and it's also about the people that he could have connected with in that group, the people who were sitting there. And that's what we were trying to come across is, all these people are listening, they're paying attention. And, as from the series, something happens to someone there, and it's tragic, but based off of the percentages he talks about, if you look at the people in the room, it matches that.
It does. Another amazing scene. I don't care. I'll say it. She should have won supporting actress in a drama series. That's just what I'm saying. But Patrica's scene, her big moment.
Man.
The way you chose that too was up close. It was like there's Sam's reaction Violet's telling the story. And I already told her when I talked to her on the show about how she was mimicking the voice of the guy saying, well, you want to be a, and how she stayed in character and how the tears were just sitting in her eyes. And now, but your choices were, I mean, talk about those choices too, because that was another intimate, like, I was crying like a baby. I was crying like a goddamn baby when I saw that scene. I've seen this scene 4 times now, and I still get teary-eyed.
I have to be honest, when we filmed it, it was hard to watch, to do. I mean, I had people behind the monitor that were bawling like a baby, like grown men, like just, like you're talking about, like I had a tear and everybody was just like shook up. There was a couple of things with that scene that was important to me. So when we started talking about it, it was right before we went to go film, and I was thinking about the idea of Sam's father and Sam, why he didn't want to be a dad. And so if you notice, they're sitting at the same table that Sam and his daughter were sitting at in opposite seats.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
I put her in the spot where Sam came and sat down.
Oh,
and then,
I never
so it switches.
thought of that.
Yeah, so
okay.
I switched it around. So that way, it was more of an intimate setting. And even with Sean on the day, he said, look, Tim, I feel like I should tell her mom it's okay. I should say something to her. And I said, Sean, you just have to trust me on this, man. You just have to listen, because in these moments, if you've never heard this before, it's going to be so here to you, and you're going to do it all with your face. And, Sean was like, okay. So we wanted to put Patrika first and let her do her thing. And honestly, she got the pages at, I think, maybe 2 days before at the most. Not, and Lauren wrote out the monologue. Yeah, Lauren wrote out the monologue, and Michelle helped. And it was just like, I read it and I said, this is exactly what I want. And she did it, and it was powerful, man. And she really, like you said, she told a story. And the first take we did, we backed up a little bit and came in with a medium. And I started seeing it, and I said, I can't call cut. I got to let her do it. But we got to get in tight, really tight on the next one. And those tight shots come from that second take, and it was just powerful. And at the end, when she takes her glasses off and she's searching for this drink and she's doing it, and it was just like, whoa. The second take first take was on point, and a lot of that's used, but the second take at the end, when she just kind of left it was so powerful. And I thought Sean did such an amazing job of just listening and reacting to that. It was so easy. It wasn't like we had to trim the timeline and look for pieces. It was all there. We got to really, go, wow, every reaction is just money. And he's really just, he's there, man. He's in there. He's with her. And so that was powerful. So I'm glad you like that.
Because obviously they've worked together for 100 years. I mean, they've done so many projects together. They know each other, and I think they trust each other probably as actors.
Yeah.
But you're right. He had the less showy part, because she had the one do the whole. She had the monologue. But when you cut to him a couple of times, you can see his face, the expression of his face just completely is changing. He's reacting to this woman who we thought was like this kind of a joke earlier in the season, where she was kind of like comes on, it's all funny and jokey. Now we're seeing really like what happened, and he's hearing it too. And so Sean's reactions were, and I love that it was tight. You're right; it had to be in your face. And I mean, it had to
be intimate. Yeah. And I think if you go back and you see that first episode, and when she's coming up and she said, I gave up my career for you, we made it light because we didn't want it to come across where we were foreshadowing something later. Right. And if it would have been, she could have easily made a choice to really be not comedic at all with it, and, just being dramatic and look, I gave up my career for you in this. And you may have sensed that there was something there, but because of her absolute amazing acting, and because of her being able to play it lighthearted, you don't see that coming later at all. You have no clue. But it comes together as a perfect arc later, because she has also the scene with Sam's daughter where she's confronting her, and I thought that was a line that I can't, to this day, I laugh when I hear it, when she says, Sam's careful, I taught him how myself, and I'm like thinking, I don't want to imagine,
Exactly.
that
Yes.
that relationship,
Yeah, I love it.
Like here's how you put this on, Sammy,
Yeah,
and
right,
but it's
exactly.
it was great. So you see that though, you see a constant progression. You see her here to here where she sees this as being serious, and oh wow, this may be, and it's like now this is time for this conversation. Well, why is it time? Because Sam's probably the dad, and now it's time to have this conversation, and she realizes that. So I think all this time that she would never tell him, and he may have not been pressing about it, now she has to kind of confront that, and I think that has power in itself.
It came across. Another directing thing I saw was interesting. I don't know if it was in the script or not, but when you have the hearts on fire scenes, it's bright. There's lots of lights. It's very
Yeah.
everything. But like you said, then when we're off stage and it's behind the scenes, it is grittier. Some of the scenes to me very noirish. It's very darker in
Yeah.
tone. Was that a choice?
1,000%. 1,000%. That was something that Pablo and I were discussing since the beginning, which was how do we set this up? Because again, we wanted to stay true to soaps. Soaps shoot multicam.
There.
Yeah, so soap operas, like it's in order to kind of pay tribute to the soap operas and make sure we stay in that world, they shoot multi-cameras. So we wanted to make sure we stayed as authentic to that as we could. So what we did was we took our 2 cameras, set them up, filmed it, and then we put the dummy cameras in afterwards. But we came in with the lighting and made it a little more dynamic, not flat, but we wanted it to be lifted up a little bit so you knew, and it's always in widescreen. If you notice, the soap is always in
Yes.
widescreen,
Yes.
so 235, and then 16:9 is your regular
Right.
world. So we said, look, let's go more on sticks, more stable inside the soap, and then, more handheld docu-style outside of the soap.
Yes. I see that. Yeah.
So that was the idea. And the idea of like, look, let's start every episode inside of the show is because each episode also kind of reflects what's going on in life.
Yes.
Which was also another challenge of tying these things in of how did the people in Hearts on Fire get they get their whole arc, and also the show gets its arc, and it's kind of both going back and forth and relating. And Phil and Michelle, they were, oh my God, dude, everybody was so funny in that and just so good. I mean, it's crazy. Aaron and Phil are good.
Yes, I'm gonna ask you a question that I don't ever ask the director, and I've interviewed many directors. When you're about to begin a project, whether it's film, TV, doesn't matter, but you're about to do a project, what members of the crew are the most important you have to kind of get first? I know all crew's important, but like is it director of photography? Who first do you really need to assist you in your vision?
Well, the first person I usually talk to on any project, as far as crew wise, would probably be, definitely my DP. We worked together, like I said, on 11 projects, and right off the bat, conversation happens and we start discussing our look and our feel. And then, I work with a lot of the same people over and over, but you look, every crew position is important. That's why it's kind of strange for me, because I'm in such a situation with my DP that he's really like a partner, like a he's a brother in arms, he's a partner, so he's really like above the line with me on a lot of things, because we just really discuss everything, and and we, trust me, we have our tussles too, but it's always a creative tussle of, hey, he's looking at something, I'm looking at my story, and we both are so perfectionists, so we both want it to be perfect, and if it's not, we're kind of like, hey, how do we do it? But every crew person is super important, and Lauren, who's wrote with me a lot and done a lot of things of producing, and she's important, and and I've always kind of came back and said, I'm feeling this scene, I'm doing this, and throughout the years she hasn't gotten the credit that she deserves for a lot of my films, for really just punching up the dialogue and
dialogue's good.
Doing so much. Yeah, she's a great dialogue writer, and my ability is basically to come in and see a story and say, look, this is what we need. We need a conflict. We need a situation, and basically to make a good outline, and then let the writers fill in that dialogue to come in and say, hey, okay, let's do it. But like the scene with Phil inside of Hearts on Fire, the morgue scene, that was completely made up. I made that up, all of it on the spot. Yeah.
Okay.
It was the last scene of the night. And I said, look, I need this, I need one more episode of the show. I said, of the Hearts on Fire. And I said, look, you guys go in the morgue. We had lit it up for behind the scene. And there's actually a toe tag. I didn't get a close up that I wanted because we run out of time, but it has Dr. Pierce Hartley at the toe tag in the morgue. So he's filling out Pierce's toe tag name, on there. And so I was like, and originally that was going to be in episode 6. That was going to be the end of it. It was going to loop around from 1 to 6. And, we were doing it. And I said, we got to tie in the diner. And I think it would be great if she comes in and she says, look, we can't do this. We need to tell Pierce. And then he's like, no, we can't, but I'm ready. And then when Pierce walks in the door, she's like, there's nothing going on here. She's like, it wasn't me, like the Shaggy song.
Right. You're right. Oh my God. Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I thought that was fun, and everybody had it was really cool to kind of be able to create that on the fly and do that. But there's a lot of this stuff. I mean, you've talked to some of these other guys, and I casted Phil the night before. He was in Vegas.
Yeah, he told the story on my show. He told the whole story.
Yeah, I feel
guilty. Vegas. He was like busy partying. He was doing stuff. He had to come drive. He had to find a way to get back to LA. I mean,
look, we were filming on my birthday, so my thing was like, look, it's my birthday. We're filming. You can leave Vegas and come down for yours for a great chance in a show.
He did it,
and he did it, and and he's glad he did it, and like I said, I've known him for a long time, but yeah.
Cool. That story, wait, folks, if you he's on this show, this Aftershow, go back and you'll see our episode. He talks about trying to get a rental car. The whole story is hilarious. And him trying to get back to LA. And how he just really met Sean, came on set, and really met him for the first time on.
1,000%. We were waiting on him. We were lit. We were waiting. He got there. We were running through it. And Sean's like, where's the guy? Where's the guy? And I'm like, he's going to be here. And he comes in. And he's like, I got to change clothes. I said, take your shirt off, buddy. That's all you got to do. And I handed him, so those glasses are my glasses. I just handed him my glasses, put them on the table, and I'm like, here you go. And I think and anytime you see him, he's always like either shirts off or this is down here. And we just had an ongoing thing where we're like, look, it's sweet week in the soaps, and we've got to kind of make sure the audience is happy and moms at home are ready to rock and roll. And, and so it's cool. So we got some cool ideas.
It's funny. So, I mean, so this show, is doing pretty well for you guys, and I have to mention, of course, you guys had got all the ISAs and ISA awards, and that was wonderful, of course, and that's a very nice pat on the back from the indie series community, and then also Emmy nominations. And so, okay, Tristan took it home. Thank you, Tristan. So glad he won. Great guy. So glad he won. But for you, getting all these nominations, I mean, the ISAs and Emmys, they came out around the same time. What did that feel like for you?
For me, well, first, real quick, I had a technical difficulty, so you blanked out a lot.
Oh, okay.
It completely cut out. You were just frozen, and I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, I was saying that you guys had the Emmy nominations, ISA wins. Tristan Rogers took it home for the Emmy. We're very happy for him. And then I was asking you, how was it for you to actually be all these nominations? And they all came out at the same time, so how did it feel?
Listen, getting acknowledgement for your work is amazing, no matter what. Like, anybody that says it's not, it really is. Like, it's a great feeling to get acknowledged for your work, because you work at something for so long. I mean, even if you're only shooting for a shorter period of time, you're still in post for a long time. You're looking at every shot, you're in post working. So that part of it was great. And I'm really happy with the way everyone embraced the show. Best writing for the ISAs, Sean, best actor, he deserved it all the way. The Emmys for Tristan, God, I was so happy. I jumped up and down. I was a little bit, by the rest, I was a little bit, look, I'm happy for the other shows. And we had some really good competition, but I was also, I was also a little surprised by a few of the things. And I'm not saying my category. I'm not saying my category, but just Sean for sure, and definitely also the Patricia and Carolyn. Carolyn killed it, and so Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
No,
I've had a
I would
lot
say,
of
but the
people.
nomination. I would say the nomination part must have just felt nice. It must
The
have felt
nomination part felt
worked
nice.
hard.
I've talked to a lot of people who are like, because I'm a member of the Television Academy here, and I've talked to a lot of people who are in the TV Academy, and I've talked to a lot of producers who do really big stuff, and they even called me and they're like, "What happened? Like, I don't understand. Like, what's going on?" And so that's something we've got to look into too, just of kind of saying, how is this process kind of done, because anything in life, any competition is like there's ways you're doing it, and I don't know if we didn't really have it. We only had, I think I was the only person from our show that was a judge, and I
Oh,
only judged the kids stuff.
oh,
So I
okay.
only got to do kids stuff.
Yeah.
So, because no one that's in the digital drama realm is supposed to be, if you're connected to somebody, a judge.
Right.
But we only had one. So, you just have to find out. I think it's like any competition you're running. I think maybe we have to look more into
The process.
that.
Yeah.
And I hope that also, like, as these shows are evolving, that people will start kind of looking to things that are trying to be fresh, new, and also trying to extend the viewership. Because I've got to tell you one thing that I've told everybody this, but I mean the honest to God's truth. Some people working in daytime are some of the best actors out there. Like Tristan Rogers got his scenes. One of his scenes with Sean, he literally got 30 minutes before. 30 minutes before. The scene with him and Sarah, they both got it the day of. And, they learn pages and they can kill it. And they're doing it in and out. And they're doing so many pages a day. And Sean Kanan, I mean, you said he's underrated. I agree 1,000%. Sean has got such a great look and he's got a presence, and, he's really good. He's got a lot of talent. And so from what I can tell, that entire community, has a lot of talent. I would love to work with a lot of people on, Studio City, but, also on my films and also in other places. Like I really want to, because like I said, man, to come in and nail a 6-page scene and really give it, and to be able to have the facial expressions and just be able to captivate. I loved working with everyone on our show. I thought we had such a talented cast, and I want to do it again. I'm hoping we there's talk about us doing it, and we want to do a season 2. And so I'm really hoping that, we are going to rock with that. And hopefully if we're, nominated next year, we'll either know the name of the game a little better, or we will, or people will embrace it, or we'll either do a better job, because at the end of the day, you have to look at everything as this was a step for us. It was definitely my first one kind of coming in and coming from the feature film world and jumping into this medium and figuring it out. And just the fact that people embraced it for what it is right now is great. But I want to take home a few more awards next year, and have people embrace us and more and find us on Amazon and all that stuff. I want to be here talking to you in your studio next year.
That's
about
right.
You're going, hey Timothy, how does it feel that you guys won? Best digital drama, best
Right.
this,
Right.
right. And I want to be able to say, look, the competition was fierce, but we did what we could do.
Well, I mean,
So I'm already imagining that. That's already happened.
I love it. But I would tell you did a great job. You did. You had a great cast. Great job.
Thank you.
There are folks who want a Hearts on Fire spinoff. People ask me, I want a Hearts on Fire spinoff. I'm like,
yeah.
Hey,
Look,
you know,
we've got some really cool stuff. I've got to tell you, coming if this goes right, we've got some cool things that are going to happen. And just to give you a little peek, and Sean may kill me for telling you this, but
it's just us.
Yeah. Well, we have an epic hospital scene that would take place in Hearts on Fire, and it's not like our normal minute recap. It's like a big scene. It's almost an entire like episode of Hearts on Fire.
Oh, wow.
That's going to be done. It's going to be really dramatic, and it's cool. And
Yeah.
so it's and it and I'm not going to say that one of the characters on Hearts on Fire may die, but there's definitely some stuff happening with that. So we're excited about that.
So, folks, Hearts on Fire, go to Amazon. It's there. You go there and watch it. It's so much fun. It's so good. And
Studio City's on Amazon, not Hearts on Fire.
I said Hearts on Fire. It's on Hearts on Fire. It's on Hearts on Fire. It's on Studio City on Amazon.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
definitely.
But I mean, you are amazing, and I love talking to you. I mean, you are like you're just.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you're amazing.
Thank you.
For that.
Thank you, man. And like I said, I hope to be back on your show and do it. And I appreciate all the support, that you've given us, and you gave all our cast and stuff. I'm kind of mad at Sean that he didn't ask me to be on that, actually. I got a bone to pick with him.
I know,
everybody was in the studio.
I'm like, I could, well, I could have.
I don't know. I'm wondering. I think maybe he might have, but I might have been doing, because I was shooting. If it was in January and February, I was doing a film.
I'll say you do other shit. Folks, he also is doing other films and stuff. You're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so I was filming. I was literally filming right up to COVID, kind of shut things down. And I've been lucky to be in post now. But, so I might have been filming something then when that happened. But I was like, this is a gangster studio. The studio's cool.
I feel like he did tell me he asked you. I think you were busy. I think that's what it was. You just couldn't.
I don't know. I feel like Sean was like, I want to be up there talking.
No,
he'll thank me. He's like, I want to thank Tim. No, I love Sean. He always runs everything. He's like, I'm gonna be on Good Day LA, and he's a trooper, man. He's
he
really
is. And
I do think he was kind of like, hey, I'm gonna sit right here.
What's funny about Sean, because he's so self-deprecating, so he's so self-deprecating. He's funny.
And Sean should have won. Sean should have won. I was keeping that back,
I said it. I said on the show.
I respect the other guys, and I'm not knocking any competition, but in my mind, hands down, Sean did scenes that were related to the industry.
Yes.
He was never too big, never too small. He came from the heart. And I just really thought that, I thought he did. I guess I'm like a proud mother in a way, father, I was like just so proud of what he did. Yeah. And just really, really wanted him to take that home. So I really felt like he should have won that. And
I agree. I totally agree. Again, no argument. I have no shame. It's just Studio City Aftershow. Of course, we believe. I believe that. I think he was really good, and not just because we're friends, but I just think he did such a great job. Because what you just said, the show is very industry related. So I wonder if it was too close for some people. Maybe I don't know. Because Carolyn Hennessy was really good too, and her was like. There's some industry.
Carolyn, oh my God, we haven't talked about her. Carolyn Hennessy and Sarah Brown, though, both are just.
Sarah should have been nominated. I already told her on the show.
Yes, that was like shocking. But in Carolyn, she brings it. She is oh my gosh.
She's a firecracker.
Like I said, our cast was just, I couldn't have gotten a better cast, man. I have to say that, even if somebody said if you could replace one person on the show with who, nobody. Even Sean's daughter, Melissa Rizzo, everyone played their part so well. I was just so and that just doesn't happen all the time. You know what I mean? You watch a lot of stuff. Yeah, so it was amazing to have that for sure.
Yeah. So folks, okay, so as we end the show, any new stuff coming out? I know you're working on some stuff, but anything to announce yet, or please tell people.
Yeah, there will be an announcement soon. I'm finishing something up, and you'll hear about that soon. And I've got several films on Netflix as well. Hickok with Luke Hemsworth, Trace Atkins, Chris Christopherson, Bruce Dern, The Outsider. I hate to plug all this stuff. Both Westerns. A horror film called The Final Wish from the creator of Final Destination with Lynn Shay.
Yes.
That's on Showtime. Okay. Yeah, so Lynn Shay's the lead of that. And my latest project is with Lynn as well. So, so it's you guys will hear some cool stuff. And then, we're crossing our fingers that this is going to happen with Studio City season 2. And I hope I hope we're back next year having a conversation about it. And I'm looking forward to expanding my output and reach in the daytime community and doing more stuff, because I think it's an awesome community, and I think that they're some of the greatest actors, and I want a chance to work with many of them. And again, I'm tickled to be here. You're the one rushing me off, so it's all good though. Thank you for the time.
It's like, when it comes to these kind of shows, you want a certain time period.
I got it. Listen, I understand. That's why I got into digital dramas, though, so I didn't have the time, so I could just go, hey, it could be short or long. But no,
I talk to you all afternoon. I'm at home. I've got shit to do, so I'm like, we can talk afternoon. But I think folks would jump off after a while. They'd be like, okay.
I think that sometimes it scares people too when they look at something and they see, especially now with digital, you can see how long the video length is. They're like, because I've done it. I'm like, this is 10 minutes. I'm going to watch it. it. But it's like, if it's like 50 minutes, you're like, I'll check that out later.
Yes.
And we all know procrastination leads to usually not
Yes,
doing
exactly.
it,
Exactly. Timothy Woodward Jr., you guys. I'm James Lott Jr. This is JLJ Media. Go ahead and follow Studio City on Amazon Prime. They're also on all social media platforms under Studio City Show. So follow them everywhere. See the latest happenings, what's going on. Also, this show is on every streaming service you can think of, from Apple to iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, under JLJ Media, under Studio City Aftershow. So go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, share. And those out there who are sharing this show that I put out, thank you so much. I appreciate every like, every comment, every share, everything. I love it. We're part of the Studio City community and the daytime community. Thank you for also embracing this after show and the Studio City show, especially the folks from General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful, and then the rest of us, all where Sean was on and Patricia was on and she was on Days. And you guys have all been just so wonderful. And this is a great digital drama. And if you haven't watched it, it's your first time coming to this after show, go and watch it. Run, don't walk. It's really good. It's really, really good. I'm telling you. I'm James Lott Jr., Timothy Woodward Jr. Thank you very much for watching. Be safe, stay sane, and have compassion.